Hey gang, I got issues as having a 200 subscriber contest. I'm gonna enter it. He wants us to subscribe to a random under 200 YouTuber, and I subscribed to Gory J. I looked up the term comic haul, and I subscribed to the first guy that I wasn't already subscribed to. You want to know what book got us into collecting? This is the book. This is covered by an eraser because my mom put my name on it, and I'll tell you why later. When I was a kid, I was hungry for comedy. And when I was 7, I realized that there was an entire magazine devoted to comedy, Mad. And the second that I bought this, not only did I love it, I didn't even know what Beverly Hills Cop 2 was, but I still loved it. I didn't know what Jeopardy was. I still loved it. I was vaguely aware of who Dr. Ruth was, and I knew head of the class, but I loved everything in here. I loved Don Martin. I loved Al Jaffe. But owning this, letting people know that I owned it, opened this door to everyone's Mad collection. It ended up that every fucking person had a wad of Mad. Even my dad had 2 Mads. He was like, "Oh, you like Mad magazine? Oh, I think I got 2 out in the garage." My cousin had a bag full of Mads, and it's just like garbage to them. So like, "You want Mads? So I'll just drop them off at your grandma's." Another kid in my class who was, I was in a split class, so he was in the grade ahead of me. He had a wad of Mads. He just gave them to me. My teacher at the time had an entire collection of Mads going back to number 1. I didn't even know it. But this kid, who was a grade ahead of me, he didn't care about Mads. He cared about comic books. He had a Wolverine sticker. He was like, "Man, you're not into Wolverine?" And I'm like, "Who?" And he got me obsessed with Wolverine. He got me obsessed with Spider-Man. I drew a picture of Spider-Man because I had one Spider-Man comic, and he was like, no, Spider-Man's in a black costume." I was like, "Okay, I guess I'll just draw black over this." But a funny little thing was, I was this little aristocrat. And so the teachers treated me like a little adult because I'd been raised by television. So all the other kids are like farm kids. So they're just like kids. They treat me like an adult for no real reason. But so my teacher, who had this collection of Mads, for whatever reason, she had missed out on one particular issue, the Bad parody cover, and she wanted to borrow it. I had missed out on one issue recently, and she had that one, so she let me borrow that. She let an 8-year-old borrow one of her Mads. I treat it like any other Mad, because why wouldn't I? So I give it back to her coverless. And I don't feel guilty about it. I'm not like, "Oh dear, I've ruined this book." I'm just like, "This is how you treat Mads, isn't it?" And she's so super pissed that she won't give me back the Mad that I loaned her. And she doesn't say, "I'm keeping this Mad because you ruined mine." She just keeps it. My mom had to phone the school to get my Mad back. And after that, she was like, "Well, if you're going to be taking these to school, I'm going to write your name on all of them, just so people know that they're yours." But this other kid, he got me into, I started buying Marvel Tales, but very rapidly I realized that there was a book called What The, and that really got me into comics. But I was getting into X-Men. The first issue of X-Men I bought was the Rob Liefeld issue where they're going out to Australia to the bars or whatever. But it was the last issue with Wolverine. I was obsessed with Wolverine because this kid was obsessed with Wolverine, and now I'm buying X-Men that doesn't even feature Wolverine, and I'm just buying them off a spinner rack. So I don't know that there's actually a comic book called Wolverine. So this started my initial obsession with comics. But then the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit comes out. To capitalize on that, Warner Brothers makes Looney Tunes VHS available basically everywhere. So every cent I made, or not made, that I got from allowances, from birthdays, from Christmas, went into buying these Looney Tunes VHS. Well, then, when I'm 10, for whatever reason, I pick up a price guide for the first time. And I realized that half the comics I bought when I was obsessed with them are worth like $40 a piece in near mint. I had the second appearance of Cable. I had the first Jim Lee X-Men. What was the other one? I had the Venom Spider-Mans. I didn't have 300, but I had the one with Hydro on the cover, and where he gets out of the vault, you know. So I'm like, oh boy, there's cash here. So now I'm obsessed with comics in that way. And then I become obsessed with comics in terms of the story. And then I get more and more into the story. And next thing you know, by the time I'm 12, I'm reading the DC Mature Readers titles, which eventually would become Vertigo. Then I'm getting into Cerebus, and I'm getting into Fantagraphics. And that's led me to where I am today. I'm more obsessed with the comic strips now. But, well, I trailed off there. And you want us to show our local comic book store. I'm going to show a picture of the one closest to me, though that's not where I have my pull list. I think that they could use the promotion more. Not that this is exactly a promotional tool, but it's called the Giddy Goblin in Hanover, Ontario. And the way that I'm excellent in this community is I always give watch time. Even if I don't have the time, even if I don't have the interest in the video, once I start watching it, I will toddle away and let it play. So thank you to the Near Mint Nerd. I got issues. Thank you for holding this contest. And thank you to the folks who watch. You know, I just love goofing.